The truth is there is no ABC. Sometimes ABC goes from Z to A, and then overnight, food producers, you end up in a completely new situation. You need to open new markets. There is a great tool for both retailer and for the food startup, which is called In-Out. I have an amazing brand. Everyone wants me. It's a matter of one click and it's gonna be on the shops. No. The brutal truth is,
welcome to Playbook for Sales and Founders, where unknown heroes share how they entered new markets.
Learn practical advice from those just 2 steps ahead of you. Our next unknown hero is...
Welcome to the show, dear listeners. It's really great to see you all here. Today, I have a special treat for you all guys who are selling and producing and developing physical products which are meant for retail chains. Usually, we know how to do with go to export, how to market in different countries when you do software, but what if I have a physical product? And that's why I invited here today Lev Rubinstein, who has 10 plus years of experience in exporting food products to different markets, and who is specialized on Polish market for the last 8 or so years. What's especially good about Lev is that he has been invited to tell other sales guys that what are the export ABCs, what are the tricks of a trade, how to go to other markets. So he has thought it through. And that's why I already expect to enjoy this talk with him. But Lev, thank you for taking time to being in this show today.
thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I've been also helping manufacturing companies in different areas from food to wood. And when I Google export ABC for physical products, then there are some guidelines, but there doesn't seem to be like a really good one where you could just give a book to the new company and say, hey, follow this script. But what do you think? Why is it so that there is no good export ABC?
Well, that's a very good question, actually. And the truth is there is no ABC. Sometimes ABC goes from Z to A and A to E and then goes back to A again. The brutal truth about selling tangible goods on exports from your home market, that, well, there are obviously some basic guidelines on what you should do and what you should not do. But in the reality, you have to adjust on the move and be actually really thoughtful about what you're doing, but be at the same time ready to customize your step and be aware of circumstances which can change your export immediately.
You actually have a very good story from your own experience when you were working for Valio, Estonian factory manufacturing cheese, and suddenly overnight 95% of your sales dropped because you were exporting to Russia, and then Russia started to invade Ukraine, which kind of killed the logic of doing business with this country. In such cases, often Estonian manufacturers are just order takers, but they are not sellers, because the market consumes everything and they don't have to go out and hunt new customers. So there's no knowledge, zero in-house, how to knock on the cold call, how to knock on the doors and find new customers. But was it the same case for you?
I would say it was the same and not the same at the same time, because I was actually hired to react on this very, let's say, extreme situation. But the brutal reality about Estonian food producers is that I even call them sometimes food balancers or sales balancers. What do I mean by that? They just, like, for example, in the business where I was, in the dairy business, you have a certain amount of milk that you get every day. The factory has to take this milk in and they have to process this milk, right? There is no way you can get rid of this milk. So you have to do butter, you pasteurize it into milk, curd, cheese, and so ever. So a lot of Estonian producers, what they do, they have some certain surplus of this milk and they say, okay, I will just get rid of that at the price whatever market will pay for me. They don't consider the option of at bringing an added value to the product, right? And that's why I call them milk balancers or food balancers, right? So they kind of they maximize their sales on the home market, but on the export market they don't know what to do. And in 2014, it was a great alarm bell for all food exporters from here, from Estonia, because we were in a completely new situation when pretty much I would not say all Estonian food producers, but majority would only export before 2014 in only one direction at a very high margins, and the demand was extremely good. The reputation of Estonian and all in general Baltic state food producers' reputation was extremely high. It was highly valued by the Russian consumers. And then overnight, after the invasion of Crimea and after the imposing the embargo on European Union food producers, you end up in a completely new situation. You need to open new markets where nobody knows what is your brand. Nobody has idea that your dairy products are good. You know about it, yeah, but they don't know about that. So there is a completely new thing which is called marketing in the market which is already oversaturated. And you say, well, I have amazing cheese. Well, for example, France, well, we have even better cheese. So why would you take Estonian cheese, right? So you need to start to be very creative, go completely out of your normal routine and start searching for the ways. And actually we all, no matter how experienced one or another was back then, we started to build things from scratch.
So what did you do? Market drops. You have to enter heavy competition markets in Western Europe. Nobody knows you. Nobody trusts you. What do you do?
Well, I would say where we started, it was a very basic thing called cherry picking. So we were going all over the place. We're trying to understand where is overall the demand for what the demand could be for our products. But I would say best thing back then was that my boss back at the time at Valio, he went to one of the biggest and best trade fairs in Amsterdam called PLMA, which is sometimes referred to private label manufacturers, but in fact it's a platform where you can find distributors all over the world, where you can establish some relationship, where you can meet one-on-one. It was still way before Corona, so people were actually encouraging to meet on one-on-one. And this is where things have started for us, for Valio. They went to trade fair. I got some 20, 25 contacts, business cards, and just started calling them through. Very simple back then.
And then, if I understood you correctly, you used the references of the guys who took the risk of buying something from some far, far away land, Estonia's factory level cheese. You used these guys that, hey, who else could you do introduction? So a pure reference play that you started to use the references.
Actually, we used back then two techniques. One technique is maybe very much close to the hearts of Eastern Europeans and not so close to the hearts of Westerners because they don't know our sad history, but also funny moments about it. There is in Estonian language, for example, or there is a saying, it's called the set of Brezhnev. Brezhnev used to be a secretary of Soviet Union, funny guy, and we call it this way. So what we did essentially, in order to sell something with added value, we were giving them at a very low price a bulk cheese, and let's say 80% of the truck was filled with bulk cheese because it was relatively easy to sell. Everyone needs bulk cheese at a good price so that they could process this cheese and sell it for a higher margin back at their countries like Greece, Italy, Spain, and so on. But this 20% of the truck we were filling with the goods where we were earning the money. So this is where we were calling this Brezhnev set.
So you were they were buying 80% of what they wanted, and 20% you put there what you wanted. In order to get very cheap stuff, you have to buy also this more expensive stuff.
Exactly. So that's how we started to penetrate slowly, and they started realizing, okay, the guys have some idea about the business. All right, they cheated us obviously in the beginning, especially in Southern Europe. We pay, we paid for the lessons for sure, and we paid for these lessons high price, but maybe not as high price as some of the people did. So essentially, we got our money for what we have sold them at least. Even though there were some examples of non-paying customers from Italy, which is which is quite usual thing. Unfortunately, I don't know about today's, but back then, 10 years ago, it was unfortunately a very risky business, especially in southern Italy. If you southern Italy, when you sell something, you need to have credit insurance or some other tools on how to protect your payment discipline. So this is how we started. And through the context which we have established, especially in Greece, people started recommending us to others. And I have also started proactively looking for other similar companies in France, I don't know, Italy, Spain, Portugal, and so on and so forth.
But this was bulk product. And in this case, as you said, demand for bulk products is always there in Western countries. If you can offer a cheap enough price, everybody buys. You don't have to trust what you have to build is relatively low. When we are talking about, let's say, food startups, health tech startups who produce something unique, something special, then we are actually talking about totally different product, which is like on different layers or levels above. As I understood that in food business, you start a basic thing where you sell the price and quality is a bulk product. Then you have white label. You manufacture and put somebody else's brand labels on. And only then, if you have proved yourself that you can do white label, they trust you enough that, okay, they take your product and they can be in retail shops, they can be actually on the same shelf, the same product, just two different brand names. That one is a retail shop's own brand, and then it's your brand, and your one is like 30% more expensive, and so forth. Am I correct that you have to understand that where you are in this ladder of value with your product and how the trust building works in typical manufacturing?
Actually, it was funny now to hear because you actually described ABC.
Okay.
ABC, but it doesn't go the way that you described. Yep, that's the thing. Because if that would go the way you described, it would be like ABC is a bulk, white label, private label, as we call it, and then brand. People would know, okay, now I sell bulk, then I go on the next step, then like it would be like a quest game. I open the next door, and then it's suddenly like the paradise of retailers are open up for me. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, it doesn't work exactly this way.
So how does it work?
First of all, let's put it very clear. Bulk products are usually traded, I don't want to say always, but usually traded between wholesalers. So, for example, butter, okay? Butter is a very known product. All people in Europe, they buy butter, they cook with butter, and you can sell from the producer directly to the retailer in very big volumes. But if we're talking about cheese blocks, for example, usually it's a trade between wholesalers, producer versus another big distributor. So you don't really sell this to the retailer because if you go to the shop, you don't see a huge 14-kilo block on the shelves of the shop. You see the small slice pack of 150 gram, 100 to 200 grams, right? The bulk business, when it comes to cheese and other big size products, it's kind of a separate story. Okay, it might help you get in if you manage to trade with the retailer, for example, with a product like butter. Okay, when we talk about food startups, I immediately generate a picture of something unique. So why would you do some food startups? You try to make something different. Or you probably had a problem yourself and you managed to solve it via your food or dietary way. You managed to solve via the final product. For example, today there are very popular probiotic kefirs. Why? Because we kind of improve our digestion by consuming this, maybe not the most delicious products on earth, but they're very healthy to you, right? So food startups have a unique opportunity of getting to the retailer directly, bypassing all these previous steps by bringing something unique to the category. Because big producers, they have sometimes no time and not enough elasticity and flexibility to react on every change in the society. And small startups can focus on one particular topic. And by that, either enter and cut a lot of steps in between and get into the retailer by saying, well, look, I have a fan base of thousands of people on Instagram nowadays or TikTok, and people are crazy about it. It's delicious. And at the same time, it's very healthy. Put me on the shelf, and even more people will have an access to my products, right? So there is no ABC. We're coming back to the same thing, which we started to talk about. So it really depends on the product, on your marketing approach, because you might be super provocative in the social media today. You'll get an attention, and retailer will have to react to that.
That's very interesting. So let's say I have thousands of followers in social media, and I knock on the door of, let's say, Polish retail shop. What happens next? One thing I know about retails is that for them, the most biggest KPI is revenue per square meter of their shelf. They need to sell certain number of euros per meter of shelf in order to hit their targets of profitability and so forth. If your product doesn't deliver, you're out. If you deliver, they might give you more meters on the shelf. So this is my understanding of how retailers think. Now, you might have in social media some followers, you might have sold online through your online shop, but it's still not proven to the retailer that your product will succeed in Poland, that you sold it in Estonia. What happens next? What kind of deal can I actually get? How to approach the retailers in international market?
Enjoying Playbook for Sales and Founders? Follow us on LinkedIn and join our exclusive Slack community to connect with founders and sales pros for tips and updates.
First of all, it's extremely harsh to approach international big retailers. So this is a very harsh environment. When you're not talking about, when you're a food startup from a small country, I would say right away, you are in a not most favorable position. If you are a food startup from a big country, it's better because you can play the card of local product. Especially with food products, it's a big thing. I have produced the product in Poland. It's Polish. It was made on the Polish soil because food is a big thing and playing a big part of a patriotic bring-up. Okay. Now, let's say you have managed to secure a really good position in your home market or even in a neighboring small country. You start knocking on the door of some of the big retailers in Poland or Germany. There is a great tool for both retailer and for yourself as, let's picture ourselves as a food startup, which is called in-out. In-out is a short sale of your product to a certain amount of stores for 1 week or 2 weeks. The amount of producers and suppliers who want to access the retailer's shelves are just way more than the capacity of the shelf themselves, right? So you try to agree on in-out. You say, look, you build the reference. You built the reference already previously. You show, look, guys, I was there. Now I'm here. In Poland, we have also growing demand, and now it's time to hit the shelves of Polish big retailers.
Now, as far as I know, retailers actually expect you to put in some marketing dollars or euros, that they are not going to do all the marketing for you, that they expect that you beat the drum and bring the people to the shelves in their retail store, especially if you do the in-out approach, that during these 2 weeks, they have to get as much sold as possible. So what would you tell to the startup who asks you about how much should I be expecting to spend on getting this in-out deal with a retail shop in Poland?
So first of all, I would say them the truth. So, because sometimes people are, well, I may say they are naive. They think, well, things go, oh, I have an amazing brand. Everyone wants me. I will just, it's a matter of one click and that's gonna be on the shelves. No, the brutal truth is it costs money. There are no miracles. Sometimes, sure, you can get a super attention, you can go viral, but there are a lot of KPIs which are placed on the people who work at this retail, like buyers, right, or category managers. So a lot of KPIs, a lot of responsibility, and huge amount of pressure by tons of suppliers, which actually exceeds the capacity of their shelves. Take me. No, take me. I'm gonna give you 1 million euros. No, I'm gonna give you 1.5 million euros. So think about, just try to put yourself into the boots of your counterparty, and think about it, how big of a pressure there are. So that's number one. You need to be honest with yourself, and I always say be completely honest with guys who I help. It costs money, but once very big retailers buyer told me, Mr. Lev, just to make it clear, we're not gonna make another time a free promotion for your brand. So that's what they told me once on the meeting, because I managed to bring into the biggest retailer, Polish biggest retailer, sort of unknown brand, completely for free. People will immediately hear, it's possible. This guy said it's possible, right? So we're gonna make it for free. Well, take it rather as a miracle than rule. So I managed to get it for free, and the category didn't exist back then. We were talking about protein enriched puddings and yogurts and stuff like that. So the category didn't exist back at the time, and the buyer basically trusted me and risked to take the product. And now this is a huge category with many brands, a lot of private label. This is one very big point for any food startup. Don't focus only on your product. Look at the product within category where you sell. Try to think or foresee where could the category go in the perspective of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. How could it grow? Can it grow? Can you bring more added value to the retailer saying, listen, by bringing my product in today, we're going to create with you a category of 10 or 15 million euros, and you will benefit from that because you will recruit new consumers into your stores by having this product on the shelf. So beside very traditional KPIs like turnover per shelf space or margin or revenue and stuff like that, you need to also be some sort of visionary about what's going to happen with your product and for your product within the category.
There's a good book by Tony Fadell called Build, and he is the guy behind the iPhone and the other Apple products, and built also his own company with thermostat, which was bought by Google. And when he entered with his smart thermostat product to the market, the problem was that there was no category of smart home devices. So what he did, he worked with one big US electronics shop to create a category shelf. So in order to get his product to the shop to the right category, he looked around and found another 5 different smart home products in order for the electronic shop to have like a shelf of a category. Otherwise, there wasn't possible. It was like amazing hack, and I think that you're pretty much saying the same, that if you are going in with a new category, you have to show to guys that there is worth to start building separate shelf for this category. If it's not separate shelf, then it's super hard for consumers to find you in the shop because they don't know where to look for. It sounds so hard. And it's so expensive that for a startup to try to build a new category, either you were lucky that the guy believed in this category and he was willing to risk with this because he was a believer. But most often you don't have believers in the retail, but they are pretty conservative. And as you said, that they have lined up the guys who can put $1 million on a table to do extra marketing for this retailer and so forth. What's your recommendation? Like, If you are the only one in the category, that is it worth, or is it wrong timing that you should wait until somebody else is also there and you can talk about category, not the I'm a lonely wolf that nobody ever sees and nobody else sees the category yet, but I'm the one and you should buy me.
Well, again, being honest here, if you have created a completely new category all over the world, so you don't have an absolutely zero benchmark from any country in the world that this category exists, this is almost mission impossible. So coming back to how did he believe it in what I was actually promoting back then, this category already has existed, this protein category, in the UK, in Scandinavia, in the Baltic states. So because he was a visionary, he is still a visionary guy, Poland usually takes things a little bit later. UK market and Scandinavian markets and US, obviously, are the trendsetters when it comes to food retail. They do the new trends. They bring the absolutely new crazy things on the shelves. And then the rest of the Europe and the rest of the world picks up from there. So, and this is exactly what happened. He saw that there is a certain path of growth in these markets, so he adopted the idea that it will come also to Poland, and he was right.
Maybe one hack could be that in this case, try to position yourself as extension to existing category.
Exactly. This is what I wanted to say. So you need to still attach yourself to something existing. We know that with everything in this world, anything new, people immediately are resistant to anything. First thing, wait. I'm not sure. I'm comfortable. So attaching yourself to existing category brings an explanation to your counterparty, aka buyer, that well, okay, that can work. This might come also to the market in which you're interested. Or if you're already doing something new, but within the same category, this is where things can go interesting. Like we know that there are tons of dairy products, but if you do, for example, something revolutionary within dairy products, it's obviously easier to explain to the buyer than you create as completely something new which have never existed before. I don't want to put anyone like down on earth, but this is the brutal reality of the life we live in. You know, people are resistant to completely something new.
So the second thing, putting people down on earth, let's talk about numbers. Let's say that I have done in-out, it was successful. What level of marketing support, money-wise, that how much I should be spending per year to get in one retail chain in Poland?
Okay, so before going into numbers, I would give a small life hack to food startups. Many companies do know about that, but many companies do not know. There is one tip to do. So when you have your first in-out, you have 1 week of sales, you have a budget, and you buy your products from the shelves. So you go to the stores and start buying all your products because you have only 1 week and you have miss or hit situation. So you need to make it hit. You need to prove to the retailer that, wow, the performance we overperformed. Look at the sales. When we deal with big countries, you will be probably buying only one city and the difference in sales will be too big. But just a small life hack, and you might be laughing about it, but this is something that a lot of companies actually do.
There's actually like a sense of doing it also, picking the times where there's lots of people in the shop. So if you take something from a shelf, it actually attracts other people that they get interesting. So like selling tactic that people get noticed that something is taken from the shelf many times in a row.
This is consumer psychology. This is so obvious. Oh, people think something is good. They give it for free. No, they don't give it for free, but it's something good. And yeah, this is a definitely working technique. Now, getting back to the numbers, look, it's obvious. The bigger the market, the bigger the cost of entrance to this market. So if we're talking about Poland, I would say like this: the marketing budget structure, I would not put it in the numbers, maybe. I would put it in percentages. So you have a certain revenue expectation or forecast which you want to make in a single year. So you should start from maybe 20-25% of marketing budget spent as a first year, and then consecutively decline the percentage of your marketing spend over the revenue which you are going to generate. I would say like that. With 20,000 euros a year, there is nothing to do in Poland. Okay, it's just way too little. You need to be ready for spending 100,000, 200,000 on total marketing spend, including ATL and BTL. So ATL is above the line, which all the marketing which goes out of the store, and BTL, all the marketing which happens in the store. Like, for example, yellow prices, aka promotions, listings, and etc. And above the line, for example, billboards, radio campaigns, I don't know, some sponsorship of sport events, depending on what kind of food category you're talking about. 100,000 euros, I would say this is a bulk minimum where you should start if you're really planning seriously on entering, for example, Polish market.
And it's also like as 100 is 20-25% of your whole sales, so that the target of the sales should be like 400, 500k per year. That this is, you can't think small, and then you can like reverse calculate what has to be your production capacity that you can even take this big market, which goes to this funny thing that usually in startups in software, it's saying that why tackle small markets? Go right away to the big markets, because like the hassle of entering the market is about the same. And but in case of food and other physical stuff, tangible stuff, what you sell in retails, actually what you are saying is that you should start from neighboring small markets and build it up gradually to the big markets, because first the trust issues, that they charge you more if you are nobody compared to you are known brand. You can prove that there's a record traction in neighboring country. The trust is much more there. You can get better margins for your product, and also because of the cost. That if you only have 20k, don't even think about Poland. Maybe let's start from Latvia if you go from Estonia.
Exactly. So usually trying to go always the easier path. Don't start looking for the most complicated ways. So let's put it this way. Your home base is secured. And what I mean by home base, if you are a startup producer from Latvia or from Estonia or from Lithuania, you first start building up the brand in your home country, because you need to secure yourself a basic cash flow which covers your incremental costs, which covers all of your duties, or I don't know, or all of your financial duties, etc. And then based on your home market security, you can start building an export. As a first sort of, you think, why would I go to Latvia, right? I would immediately go to Poland or Germany, yeah, because I can sell there in 10,000 stores, and in Latvia I can only sell 150 stores. But think about it, that how much money more you would need in order to enter those markets versus, for example, Latvian market, or for Latvian producers, Estonian market, right? Because in Latvia, and like if we're talking about regions, like in our case, it's Baltic states, yeah? We have a lot of synchronization between retail chains. For example, we have a chain called Maxima. Maxima has its presence in Lithuania, in Latvia, and Estonia, and Poland as well, actually, but it's called Stokrotka. So what can you do? You prove to Maxima, a proof of concept, we call it, in Estonia or Latvia. It works. Then they increase your distribution to neighboring market. Then from this market, they increase another one. So they have already enough of capacity to generate you a significant amount of money, even in your home region. Now, Rimi, the same story. And Rimi belongs to ICA Group in Sweden. So if you perform well in the Baltic states, theoretically, you can approach also mother company of ICA. And Sweden is a huge market, especially when we're talking about food startups, food cutting edge technology, something absolutely new and modern. So always think about it, that there is a lot of synchronization and over the market retailers which can actually expand you within their own ecosystem or retail systems, if I may call them this way.
I want to check it with you that even if you are in Estonia and it's quite successful, it doesn't mean that those guys are going to jump up and down in a chair. Yeah, we want it too, but you still have to sell to them. But it's still hard sell. It's still hard sell. You just
Hardcore sale. Because they always say, oh, listen, in Estonia it can work like this, but our consumer in Latvia is completely different. We don't want it. Because you need to really work hard. Well, let's do it now. I will make the tastings. I will make the promotion. You still need to put the money. You need to put the effort. I mean, maybe my experience is just so, let's say, modest. I don't want to say use word negative, but none of the retailers, at least in my life, never told me, oh, your products are so amazing. Come to me. I want you. I'm ready. All the shelf is yours. Never. Everything was grinding hard through the soil, Polish soil in my case, most of the time. In your case, it can be Latvian soil or Estonian soil. Nobody waits for you anywhere.
But it still makes it simpler that at least
Definitely.
the category manager in Estonia can do the intro to the category manager in
Absolutely.
Latvia. And then also the good thing is your product has a code in their IT system, so they can already start ordering it. And one more thing I definitely want you to tell to the listeners about this issue of transportation. That when you go from Estonia to Latvia and then you suddenly have a success with Polish partner or retail chain, that you still might fail because you miss the transportation part. Could you talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of food startups tend to forget that in order to deliver something actually physically to a retailer in Poland, you need to have a supplier code. Now, to get the supplier code from scratch, it's extremely hard. Extremely hard because it's a lot of paperwork, it's a lot of internal bureaucracy, and nobody wants to deal with that. Now, the easiest way to avoid this obstacle is to find a local distributor. So the local distributor will actually cover the needs of logistics, internal logistics within the country, and also the supplier code. So when you look for a distributor locally, you have to ask the first thing, do you have a supplier code?
Okay, so that to make sure that everybody understands that every retail chain, their suppliers have to have code. And if they are a supplier to one retail chain, it doesn't mean that they have a code to be a supplier to the other.
It actually means exactly the opposite. It doesn't mean anything. You need to sign the contract and have a established supplier route to every single retailer you want to tackle in the the country of your focus.
Okay, so you find a company who says that I have a supplier code. What else should I ask from this distributor that before I can sign a contract and be sure that they can do the job?
So you need to check what is their warehouse capacities. You need to see how much space do they actually have, physically space to store your products. Then
So if my target is 100K of product per year, I have to make sure that they have monthly capacity to take my stuff into their warehouses and then deliver it. That
exactly.
if they don't,
Exactly. One
Okay.
more thing that is very typical and I would say common in today's modern retail is that there is a lot of customization of packaging. What do
Okay.
I mean by that? So when we, as a food producer, have our own cartons, or we call them sales units, in, for example, bigger markets, and maybe some of you saw that in stores like Lidl, you have in one carton different flavors of products. So it's called mix and match or whatever. Those different, they cost the same, but there are different flavors in this carton. So if you cannot do that at your own facility, you need to ask your local partner to do that. So you need to look at things. Do they have actual human force to manage this matter? Have a certain amount of elasticity to repack things for bigger retailers. Now, that's very crucial thing to remember because sometimes, like especially big retailers, discounters, they want in one carton to have different indexes or SKUs, or we say in a simple way, products. One more thing, when you start to build the brand and looking for a distributor, you need to see if this distributor, a local partner, has a field sales. And by field sales, I mean does this company have people who actually go to the stores and take care of your products? Do they look after them? Are they placed correctly on the shelf? They try to negotiate better positions on the shelf, for example, aisle from the bottom shelf to the eye level position, and so on. So field force is absolutely crucial. And one more thing, are they willing to also invest from their side to support your brand development in the country, right? Because if the distributor is completely focused only on earning money via offering basically saying logistic services, I would not consider this partner to be the most righteous for you. So you really need to have a partner which would be very much interested in your product and believing the same. I would not say that they would be putting hundreds of thousands of euros. Don't expect that. You are the brand owner. You are the producer. It's your product, and you need to invest into that. Because the distributor, if your brand is strong, you can get rid of this distributor within a minute. And distributor would be standing completely, just naked without anything, right? But you would still have your brand. So these are kind of some basic things which you have to look at.
What conditions have to be met that distributor is willing to invest or co-invest? What's based on your experience? Let's say that I'm a startup. I'm already slightly established in Baltics. I go to Poland. I can afford a 100K of marketing ticket to the country. What convinces a distributor that, hey, okay, I believe that this new product is something I'm willing to put some money also, let's say maybe some tens of thousands in also joint effort into bringing it to market?
Well, I would say like that. We didn't touch today the matter of personal relationship too much in today's discussion, but this is the moment where this things actually plays crucial role. So the product itself, the product can be the product, but you as the face of this product or the talking mouth of the product, you really need to be appealing to your counterparty. No matter is it the buyer, is it the distributor, you really need to be as a team with your local partner. You cannot just say that, okay, you guys, I give you this product, please start building up the sales in Poland. No, it doesn't work. You really need to be deeply involved. You need to show that your contribution, your efforts. And if you feel that that your counterparty is giving you back the same, well, probably you have a match, right? So there is no Tinder for distributors. You not yet. Maybe we can create one, but you need to go through this discussions and feel with whether it's right or not.
What's your experience like in negotiating with distributors? How many meetings you should have, and how many times you had to fly there or be there? But they definitely want to see somebody in Poland. That I don't believe that it's possible that the distributor will take your product. If you say that, hey, I'm going to fly here once per year, and you do the selling, and what do you have to do in order to build the relationship? What's your experience? How many meetings? How much?
So basically, I would say in general in Poland, if we're talking about Poland, there is a big culture of personal meetings. Okay, so there is still this thing of meeting and talking about different stuff and having completely senseless discussions of 95% and then 5% talking about the business. But this is how you build up a relationship, right? This is how you start talking about weather, politics, I don't know, everything. Even though people say don't talk about politics and religion, everyone talks about politics and religion because this is the sexiest. Gets the biggest amount of contradictions, fights. And Polish people, they love to fight. And during the fight, you get the ultimate truth and respect. Okay, the guy can fight. Well, this is a strong personality. If the guy can drink vodka on top, this is extra person. And I'm talking about stereotypes. So there is no single rule how often you have to come. But I would say the more frequently you visit, the more you establish yourself in Polish market, you basically understand how the market runs and operates, the more trust you're going to get from your partner, right? Because if you're just going to be this, I'm sending you the product, so do whatever you can, and I fully trust you. Well, sometimes it can work. Some distributors actually do want this way, don't interrupt with me, give me the plan, or we will agree on a certain business development plan, and don't touch me for the next 6 months. It can be like that. Some of them are completely different. You are the face of producer. I want you to be on every meeting. And I would say, from my experience, if you are a producer, you want to be on every meeting with a retailer. You need to own the relationship one way or another. Maybe the everyday communication goes between your local partner and retail, but they still need to know that there is some guy or girl who is behind the brand. So they understand that the story which you bring is actually from you, not from the distributor.
There's one more thing before we run out of time. You said to me and previously that you as a producer, you have to own the price talks, that you are setting the pricing and you have to understand the pricing logic. Could you go into that? What did you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean the price management or the retail price management. So very often you have no right to tell to the retailer that I want my product to be sold on the shelf, I don't know, for €2. Because, for example, in Poland, it's absolutely illegal to tell to the retailer for how much they have to sell your product. Okay? Even though some of them are still doing that. I don't know how some of the producers are managing to say this recommended sales price. Now, when I talk about the price ownership, I mean that you really, even though you cannot actually talk about it, you really need to know what would be the price of your product on the shelf. You can do this in a different ways, but the best way is to calculate your profitability from up to downwards, meaning that I want my product to be sold for €2 per unit. And you go down, minus VAT rate, minus retail margin, minus distributor margin, and this is what you get. And then you see whether this is profitable for me enough or not, okay? And you have to play with these numbers, but always go for a rather pessimistic approach when it comes to retail margins, because you might think that they will take 30% of the margin, but in the end they will take 40%. So always go for this kind of more negative scenario when it comes to the final price than a positive scenario.
Retails might take anything between 20 to 30%. What about distributors? How
Retailers will take way more than 20. They would
Way
take
more.
35 to 50%, I would say.
35 to 50. Okay. And distributors, what's the range?
Take between 15 to 23%, depending on
15 to
your logistic agreement.
Okay. What I need from
them, they bring the product, so it depends already. It's really
Okay.
hard to
Okay.
determine.
And the important part is to remember that this retailer would put a percentage on top of what the distributor is
Yes.
selling to them, not to
Exactly.
your price.
Exactly, for sure not. So they would put on top of the distributor's price, to put their margin and then VAT on top of their margin. So think about it.
I think we covered pretty well the basic ABC. First of all, put yourself into the category manager's shoes of a retail shop, that if they get like hundreds of requests and tons of emails every day, that how to make their life easier, how to be the person with whom it's pleasure and nice to do business. Then, contrary to the software guys, you should go from local to far away because of the logistics, because of the trust, and you can utilize the existing retail chain, which cover multiple countries. So this is your pathway to different countries. And if you are already in Poland, then you can say that, hey guys, I'm already selling to this retail chain. That hey, why not to take me in also? That you are losing on this new opportunity to tap into this category or this type of product, and also that distributors are crucial because of supplier codes are super hard to get from retail chains to get the certification and yada yada yada. Easier to use them, and you have to do your homework. I would recommend that contact Lev or anybody else who has done it before, because we touched only small part of the questions you should be asking. We didn't talk about the temperatures. We didn't talk about all the other kind of cool stuff that you need to in order to manage the supply chains and then transportation of your goods and so forth. And also, it's expensive to enter new markets. And here, the bigger the market, the more expensive it is. This is the ground rule. You can start in small countries with tens of thousands, and in bigger countries, it's hundreds of thousands. What's expected from you. With 100,000, I can enter to all retail chains in Poland. It doesn't work this way. We talked also about categories, creating totally new category, which is unproven anywhere in the world. It's mission impossible unless you are a billionaire and you want to become millionaire in a few years. Then it's probably possible. But if you're not, then the only way to start is to start by positioning yourself as existing market category extension, that you're extending existing category. And if your new category becomes big enough, you can kind of reposition yourself that, hey, now I'm in this new category when it's taken off and there are multiple guys and a special shelf that you are not the only one there. And also thinking in product categories, that how you putting yourself in a shoes of product category manager at the retail, that they look at the whole category. They don't look at the single product. So what gap do you fill in their shelf with your product, and what's the pricing according to the other guys on the shelf, and remembering the holy KPI, revenue per square meter per week or whatever, that this is like the holy grail, that if you can increase that one, then everything else falls in places. And do your math regarding that, work backwards. What do you want to be the price on the shelf, and the VAT, retailer, distributor, your own margin, your own costs. That this is way how to make sure that you actually the unit economics works and you're actually going to make some money when you enter to this market. Anything else you want to say to the food startups listening to us today and thinking about entering to new market?
Well, I want just to say that it was a lot of fun to talk to you today. We definitely didn't cover even, I would say, 10% of how this how this business works. But I would say dream big, act big, and things which could seem to be completely impossible, they could actually happen. And I talk this from my own experience. I'm a guy from a small district in Tallinn, and I managed to bring small brands into big countries. So actually, everything is possible. I know it sounds very simple and very pathetic, but this is so true. So I wish you all a lot of luck, and thank you, Guy, for having me today.
Thank you, Lev. It was lots of fun, really great insights, and it was a pleasure having you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the show. I am Kalev.
I'm Diana.
Until next time.